feel like I should break out in a dance.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the First Class, Second Place podcast. I'm your host, Jason Enrique, and we got another first-class guest up in the building today. But before we continue, I want to remind everybody that we are live in Bravery Studios in Garfield, New Jersey. Shout out to Najee behind the glass. Hope everything is well, brother. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned, we have another first-class guest up in the building today. I'm on a roll, I feel, humbly speaking, with the slew of guests that I've had on here. This person is no different. This is one of the most funny and talented and most gorgeous women that I've ever been on the show before. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Shoshanna Withers is in the building. What is going on?
Hi. I'm the lucky one. What are you talking about? You're crazy.
I appreciate you coming on here, and we'll get into the whole thing about how we met and you know the craft and so on and so forth. But first and foremost, North Carolina girl.
Yes.
So Southern Belle. I don't know if you use that terminology or whatever, but yeah. So what was life like growing up in North Carolina?
Oh man. I've been here for about 20 years, so I still have my manners and I'm still sweet sometimes.
Can you bring the mic a little bit closer to you?
Sure. When I was growing up, I mean I was an only child, and I don't know. I was outgoing and I wanted everyone to like me, and I knew that I wanted to live in New York at a very young age. My family was from here, and we would come visit, and whenever we would come visit, I wanted to be a b-boy. I wanted to do graffiti. The whole New York 80s and 90s life.
It's like you saw the movie Wild Style, and you wanted to live that life.
Break into the Electric Boogaloo. That was the movie that was like, I got to live in New York. And so when I graduated college, I moved here.
Nice. But you know, growing up in North Carolina, where did your acting or your creative bug bit you? Like, how early did it start for you?
Okay, so it started when I was 2 years old.
Okay.
My grandmother was a Rockette, and she was an actress here in New York.
New York.
And my grandfather was an actor, and he was an artist here in New York. And they put me in dance class. I was a ballerina at 2 years old, and I started performing. And then we moved to North Carolina. I was living in Jersey till I was like 5.
Okay.
And then we moved to North Carolina. My mom kept me in dance class till I was 14 years old. And I still wanted to perform. You know, I was passionate about it. And she put me in modeling school because I also was being bullied at the time for being really skinny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, Mom, what do? I don't know what to do. People are telling me that calling me Anna, like anorexic.
Yeah, right.
And like, I'm so skinny, but I don't understand. I eat. I don't know what's wrong with me. And she was like, I'm going to put you in modeling school. Because she was, at the time, you know, models were stick skinny.
Yeah.
And it turned into a passion. I loved being photographed. I loved taking pictures. It made me feel beautiful. And it helped me through the years growing up being bullied about that. And I became passionate about acting while I was in modeling school. They had an acting class. And then it was time to start thinking about college and high school. And my mom was like, you can't go to college for modeling. You have to go to college. So figure it out.
Yeah.
So I was like, the next thing close to modeling was acting and filmmaking. So yeah. I love taking pictures. So I went to college for acting and filmmaking, and man, I've just been so passionate about it. It hasn't stopped, since I was young.
Yeah, that's the sense that I'm getting from you. I sense that even when you weren't on stage, even when you weren't on screen, you weren't on a microphone, whatever, just in your everyday life of being Shoshanna, you were just being performative in some way, shape, or form.
Oh yeah.
Like you could be in the back seat and they're playing Spice Girls on the radio and you're just singing at the top of your lungs.
You know me well, 100%. For real. I used to put on in high school. We would have these house parties because in North Carolina, there's nothing there, so everybody would go to each other's houses. And when I was in high school, me and my best friend put on a Halloween party at my house, and we did this whole choreography to Aaliyah's "One in a Million," like a dance choreography, and we did it in front of my whole high school class that came to my house. And yeah, so I was always putting on shows and dancing or acting, also doing impressions. I used to love to make my family laugh during dinner and doing impressions of them. Like my parents, like like, this is how you scold me, and we would make jokes about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am performative.
That's pretty funny, because I feel like that was kind of like me in a sense, but the only difference is that there were two things. One, sometimes I feel like because I was actually pretty good at impressions as well, not necessarily of celebrities, but just people that we knew.
Yeah.
And I knew how to emulate them. And they say the imitation is the best form of flattery. Mm-hmm. But after a while, it started to feel like it was becoming like a little bit of a chore. Like, oh, check out Jason does this person, putting me like on the spot, and I wasn't ready. I was like, I did it off the cuff. You can't just turn it off like a light switch with me. and also too, like there was because I did grow up here in Jersey. I was born and raised here in Jersey, but I did spend some of my adolescence in Florida. And this is kind of where I wanted to parallel this next question, where, when I was down there, you would think that being in a sunshine state where everything is all sunshine and roses and all that kind of stuff, you would think that it would be the perfect place to do something in the arts, so to speak, like as far as like acting, performing, whatever
like
the case
Cali.
may be. Yeah, exactly. But it's not like that. It's more relaxed. And so up here, it's very fast paced, and you have a lot of people with aspirations and dreams to make it big. Down there, it's like, par for the course, whatever the case. So I feel like when I was down there, I kind of lost that passion, so to speak, because there was nothing really that was very inspirational. My surroundings were not very inspirational to me to do that. So with you say that you come from a family like basically of acting, of like performers, and they're very inclined in their talent. But they were up here in New York. While you were down in North Carolina, did you ever feel that sense that like maybe you stuck out a little bit more, not just from the bullying aspect, but just because you know what you wanted to do in a world with people that they don't want to do anything that you're interested in as far as performances?
Oh, yeah. And then the people who in my family did perform died before I was even a teenager. So I lost that contact. Everybody else in my family are nurses or in the Army. And so I had nobody to connect with. So I definitely stood out, and I did know what I want. And I had an aunt, actually, that lives here in New Jersey, the oldest of my whole family, and she always stayed supporting me while I was growing up. She sensed and knew that I had that passion, and she supported me. I mean, she'd send me money to help me get into a school, or she would help me write a letter to get into an art school. So it was a struggle, though. It was a struggle to have someone that was pushing me. I had to push myself.
Yeah. What was that one moment, or was there ever a moment, like a light bulb in your head moment, where something or somewhere you did something or you said something where there was just an opportunity that was presented to yourself, and you were like, this is it. This is what the hell I'm going to do with my life. Eat that shit.
Huh. I gotta think about that. You got me. Like that I knew that this is what I wanted to do, and I was going to devote my life to it.
Yes, like there was no doubt about it whatsoever, and there was nothing that anybody could tell you otherwise.
I think what's coming up for me would be the first time that I performed on stage in college, and I was in school for acting, but I was doing it mainly because my mom said I had to go to college, and if I wanted to be a model, you can't go to college for that. That's something I have to wait.
That's a very old school way of thinking.
Yeah. And so when I got cast as the lead in a British play, and I did like 6 shows and had to memorize, oh my gosh, like tons of lines, and I devoted myself to learning them and performing. And yeah, I think after the high that I got off of that, I was like, yep, this is it.
Yeah, see, and I love hearing stories about that, because I mentioned before that I feel like, especially now, we live in times where there's a lot of discouragement and insecurity within people and so on and so forth, and it makes them not want to achieve whatever they want to do in life, whether they want to be a business person, whether they want to get in the arts, whether they want to do a podcast, whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. Yeah. They could be a chef for all I care. But there's a lot of insecurity and discouragement that gets displayed around our, that is our surroundings so much, and it becomes so part of us that there's a lot of people just walking around not knowing what to do with their life.
Yeah.
And so when you tell a story like that, I think it would be inspirational for people out there that don't know what to do, or maybe they know what they want to do, but they don't have any rhyme or reason to go ahead and continue it.
Yeah.
And that's why I've mentioned this plenty of times on my show before, where I would love to be an example for people that if I can do it, anybody else can. Because hey, listen, I didn't go to any fancy schmancy school or anything like that. Not putting down anybody that did.
Yeah.
But I feel like I was a late bloomer in life in a lot of ways. I mean, Jesus Christ, I'm a guy that lost his virginity at 20 years old. Talking about being late to the party in so many occasions. So, I'm 38 and about to be 39, and I just embarked on this thing that I wanted to do when I was 9 years old, just a couple of years ago. So it's like, if I can do it, anybody else can, and it's never too late. Like, you shouldn't. Why should people draw lines when it comes to age and time and so on and so forth?
And how great does that feel? Waking up, accomplishing these things.
It feels fucking amazing.
Same. You know? I feel that's how I feel. And so I feel you on that. I'm in an acting class right now where it inspires me so much to be confident in myself and pursue my dream. And there's so many factors that cause this insecurity, things like boundaries or blockages, like, other people, money.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't make enough money. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing. I mean, working in the arts, it's a struggle. We all know if you're not born into, money, or you're not born into someone who's already famous, already successful.
Your last name's not Rockefeller.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when I lost my grandmother and grandfather and had nobody in my family that knew anything about the business, I started from scratch. Mm. I would advise people, I know it's cliche, but just ask questions, mm-hmm. Research.
Never stop being a student of the game.
Yeah.
I know people in my life personally that are serious actors. I'm talking about like SAG, they're official, everything and everything. Yeah. And they've done a whole lot of things on their resume, and they're still learning. That's the way they treat it. They're always treating it like it's the first day of school.
Yep. I have friends in my acting class who we share wins all the time, and they're like, oh yeah, I shot this a commercial for this big company, right? And I'm getting residuals, but I haven't worked in 6 months and I'm struggling, right? And this is how life really is as an actor. People think that once you book something really big, or you're, in a movie and have a big role, that you're just going to keep on being, a working actor. And that's just not how it is. Yeah. Not for everyone, at least.
Are you union? Are you SAG?
I am. I'm FICOR.
FICOR, okay.
Yep. I went FICOR the end of the pandemic because there was no work. And I was getting offers for lead roles in non-union projects, and I wanted to do it the right way. Mm-hmm. I mean, the right way is to tell the union, listen, I don't have any money. I'm struggling, and it's the pandemic. I need work, and I'm being offered this. And they granted me FICOR, and so I'm still FICOR.
Well, what is FICOR, if you could kind of explain to my
Sure,
audience?
Sure. So FICOR is basically the fine print in the union, SAG-AFTRA union, that if for financial reasons you aren't able to make ends meet and you're in the union, because you can only take union work, that you can write a letter to the union and say, I'm struggling, I'd like to go FICOR, with the means to get back into the union fully, but to take that break and work and make the money and whatnot. And you still pay dues, mm-hmm. and you can still work on SAG projects and SAG-AFTRA projects, but you can also work on non-union projects.
Gotcha. Because I know some people that are friends of mine that are SAG.
Yeah.
But because especially what happened with the strike not long ago,
yeah.
It just really fucked a lot of things up, where now people that are non-union are getting a lot more work than the ones that are union.
That's exactly what I was going through too. Mm-hmm. My best friend had went FICOR. She had been in the union before I went FICOR, and she had booked 7 leads in feature films. I mean, it was small amounts of money compared to the union, but she was working. She was doing what she loved, which was the whole point of being an actor.
Yeah.
It's not always about the money. So I decided to do it, and it's been working out for me. I think it's looked down upon, they say, if you're FICOR, mm-hmm. but I haven't had any issues.
Well, I mean, listen, you got to do what's right for you at the end of the day. You can't worry about what your colleagues or your peers are worrying about. Like, support them nonetheless. But at the end of the day, you're the one that has to put a roof over your head, and you got to follow your passions and all that good stuff. So
yeah, I just want to just do it, and SAG, they make it seem like this glorious, like once you're union, you're
That's
like
how they
this
sell
big.
you. Yep.
No, every single actor that's starting out that starts SAG that I know struggles to get work after they've joined.
Right. And hopefully it changes because, like I said, I have some dear friends of mine that are SAG, and it kind of pains me to see them not being able to do what they want to do, and they're fucking good at what they do.
Yep.
And I feel like their world needs to see their art and their performances, and I really hope that, I don't know how they're going to do it, but I hope that they really find some way to really thrive in it.
Yeah.
Truly.
We'll tell them about FICOR.
Okay, well, I'll see.
But don't show this to SAG. They're going to be mad at me. They're going to be like, this girl. Can I curse on your podcast?
Yeah.
This bitch. Telling people to go FICOR.
I can't promise that, but we'll see. So I actually want to know something a little interesting, just going back a little bit further. What is this funny story about how people didn't think that you were 100% white?
Oh, yeah. Dude, it's funny.
Yeah.
So speaking of family and things that they probably don't want me to share, but I'm going to because it's funny and it affected me.
Drop a bomb, Najee. Drop a bomb.
Yeah. Yes. With the background sounds. That's awesome. Okay, so when I was 6 years old, my mom told me I was adopted. She told me that she was my aunt. And my real mom, I actually look like her more than any of her other kids. I almost look like a spitting image of her. But she told me that her sister was my mom and that she had adopted me when I was born. And I was okay with that. I was like, oh, great. I'm an only child. I have a couple of brothers and sisters. And she was married to a black man, my aunt who adopted me. And then I said, okay, so am I white or am I black? And she goes, you're half black. And so from there on till I was 27 years old, my family told me that I was mulatto, that I was half black. And I walked around North Carolina with all my friends were black, all my boyfriends were black, and I just knew I was black. And I stuck up for my blackness all the time. I always was like, when I'd go to the doctor, I would cross, mulatto or other. And nobody ever told me that I was wrong. Nobody ever made me feel like I was a lie.
It was what you were led to believe.
Yeah. Like I looked in the mirror and I saw a half black woman. And then I moved to New York.
Wake up call.
I moved to New York. Mind you, in North Carolina where I grew up, it was white, black, and Mexicans.
Okay.
I mean, we had maybe one Asian and that was it. So when I moved to New York, I started auditioning right away and meeting casting directors. And I told them, I'm like, oh, I'm half black. And they started laughing at me. And I'm like, why are you laughing at me? And they're like, honey, you're not half black. You're white. Or to the most Latina. Right. And I was like, what? So I called my mom up and I'm like, Mom, am I black or not? And she's like, yes, your father is dark-skinned black. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
Really? Are you sure? And it just didn't feel right, But I was like, I kept believing it. And then I took a DNA test.
There you go.
And found out I was actually, I mean, I'm still learning the correct language of it, but Hispanic, Latina, I have some South American in my ancestry. A huge amount of Spaniard, huge amount of Spain.
Okay.
And Russian and Jewish. But it was a culture shock for me. I know nobody probably has ever dealt with this in their life. And I don't know why all the people in my family just kept going with it. I look in the mirror now and I'm like, that is a white woman. Look at this skin and this nose. This is a white woman.
That's a wild story.
That's a white woman. What in the hell? And it felt like, remember that lady, the white lady who had blonde hair and was super white and then was like running the NAACP or something? Do you remember? She had got a perm and she got in trouble.
Yes. Okay.
She got in trouble
yes,
for like not being black and trying to present as black, and she was white, and her parents were like from Switzerland or something. It was kind of like that, except I wasn't choosing it. I was told that I was half black.
Yeah, this is what you believed for so long.
Well, a culture shock.
Yeah. Wow.
Major culture shock.
That's a wild story.
Because when I was in North Carolina, I hated white people. I thought they were racist, and I didn't have a lot of white friends at all growing up. All my friends were from the hood.
Right. What a culture shock. That's
such
a
culture
story.
shock.
You know, I would say that could be made into a movie, but in this political climate, I don't know if that could be done.
Yeah.
Oh, well, missed opportunity.
But I'm interested now in learning more about my heritage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've always been super attracted to the Spanish language. And I speak Spanglish, like I can understand a little bit, but I've been passionate about it, and I've always been passionate about Latinas, and I love Latinas.
Yeah. Well, that's also a nice starting point out there as well. Your orientation.
Yeah.
So I correct me if I'm wrong, but is exactly what are you? Are you bi? Are you pan? Well, what is it exactly?
You know, with all the changes of the names and everything and labels, I don't know what you would call it. So I'm just going to tell you, and you name it. You tell me what the name of it is. So I'm an equal opportunist. I'm mainly attracted to men and women, but I've been attracted to trans men and women that look. It's strange that look like a woman or look like a man.
Right. Now, I'm no expert, but based on how you're defining it, I would say it's pan because pan, as far as I know, is you're attracted to all genders.
Yeah. I've been attracted to non-binary people too. There you go, yeah. But I've never dated anyone that was non-binary.
You're actually perhaps the first person knowingly that I've ever met that is that orientation before.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, maybe there's other people that I know, but they haven't said it or it. But you're the first person to my knowledge that I've ever met that is this orientation.
Yeah.
And I guess it's fascinating to me because I'm not in that world, obviously, but it's just fascinating to me because especially with everything that's going on in this world right now and ever changing, and then people trying to bring it back to basics, but we don't need to get into all of that. I was just wondering how has it been progressive or regressive in what you want to do with your art as far as acting is concerned?
What do you mean, my sexuality? Yeah.
Like, has it had any effect on it, like, for the better or worse, or it hasn't really had an effect at all? Like, it doesn't even play a factor?
It doesn't have an effect at all.
It doesn't play a factor?
No. I tell you what, though, the pandemic had a factor in my... Because I was a lesbian for 10 years.
All right.
I wasn't attracted to men sexually at all for 10 years. And then when the pandemic hit, I don't know what happened. I woke up one day and I was attracted to men.
I think that at that moment you were just still blossoming, for lack of a better term. You were still trying to figure out who you were. Because listen, I agree. I feel like no matter how old we get in life, just in the general sense, we're always finding out about ourselves more and more. And especially if you have that self-awareness, then absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I had liked men before I was a lesbian, but I think also a factor of like being in an abusive relationship with a man pushed me to exploring relationships with women more because they were less toxic, less abusive, more compassionate than the relationships I had before that with men. Right. And then the pandemic being the end of the world, I thought it was the end of the world. I was like, I need to explore this before I die.
Yeah. Now, I actually do want to commend you first and foremost about talking about that because unfortunately, that seems to be something that's more common than we'd really like to believe that it is. But when I have people like you, or I have a friend of mine named Stephanie, shout out to Stephanie Fernandez, and a whole bunch of other people that have been through what you've been through, I think it is really brave and brazen at the same time, but also very appreciative that you're out there bringing this awareness out and being honest, because I think there's way too many people that are suffering in silence, and you and a whole handful of other people that are transparent about it, I think is really, really inspiring and very admirable.
Thank you. And actually, you just pretty much said exactly what I think moving forward with my podcast that I want to focus on, like helping people who have suffered trauma in their childhood that's causing them to stay in these abusive relationships, or not knowing how to leave, or not feeling like too scared to leave, not feeling loved, being afraid of being alone. I think I'd like to focus on that and help people, because I've come through that. I've gotten through that, and I've learned how to get through that and get out of that on my own.
Right.
Of course, I had other people help me, therapists, family members, friends, and community services, things like that. But in the end, we do it ourselves. We make the choices. And so, yeah, I think you just put it very, very beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
That I think that a lot of people are suffering in silence. And a lot of this stuff, like staying with narcissists, and now the calling out of the word narcissist being, I had never even heard of it till a couple years ago.
It seems to be on everybody's tongue now.
Yeah. Gaslighting, all that stuff. But it's true. And men and women can be narcissist.
Sure.
And it definitely, when you deal with it as a child, it affects you majorly in your relationships and in your self-confidence and insecurities. That all derives from your upbringing and all that narcissism or bullying or anything like that.
Right. Now, going back to your orientation for a bit. So obviously up here in the Northeast, New Jersey and New York, to be specific, very progressive area, and it seems like it's just part of the norm. However, you coming from North Carolina, where things are very conservative down there for the most part, I would think that possibly, and I could be wrong about this, but maybe you could correct me on this, is how rough it was for you being yourself in in an environment that is not very accepting of it as it is up here.
Good question. Yes, I was definitely bisexual at a young age. I was hooking up with friends in middle school, girls and guys. And that's how I knew that I was. But I have an open-minded mom, but it was never could be talked about.
Gotcha.
It could never be talked about. And even now, like, I've had girls from my hometown when I was a lesbian that they would reach out to me and be like, I commend you for being open about your sexuality and being with a woman. How is it? What is it like? I'm thinking about dating women. And I had a lot of that happen over the years when I was a lesbian. But I will say, on that note, of being from the South, I may have, orientation-wise, I may be open-minded for a man or a woman, but I am very conservative in the sense of when I'm in a relationship, I'm highly monogamous.
So am I.
I believe in, I don't do, what is it, polyamory?
Yeah, polyamory. Yeah.
And no offense to anyone, I have friends who do that.
Yeah, that's just not you.
It's
that's
the
just
new
not
thing.
You. Yeah, that's just not you.
Yeah, I have very conservative morals in a relationship.
Sure.
Man or woman.
Right.
And that's actually been a struggle up here compared to down there to dating. Like it's no bueno.
But hey, listen, you're still striving, and you got to do what you got to do.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we strive for these simple things, or at least we like to think simple things as far as like love, romance, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think we're at a place where you are right now. You're in a space where you're focusing on yourself.
Yeah.
You're doing what you need to do for yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're doing that more now than ever. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you're doing it now more than ever because this is probably the first time in a long time, probably ever, that you're actually doing stuff for Shoshanna as opposed to doing for anybody else.
Yeah. And it feels good, and I know it's right, and I know it's what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's just women, they have a biological clock. And I'm 42 and I'm a ticking.
You don't look it.
I'm a ticking.
You don't look it.
Yeah, but the insides are.
Oh,
the insides are cooking.
Oh.
They're cooking. Yeah, I definitely. And it's hard not to, because my mom puts a lot of pressure on me. It's so toxic. She's like, you're not, she said it to me recently on the phone. Oh, you're not getting any younger. Did you find out about the IVF? I'm like, yeah, are you going to pay for that? Because I live alone and I'm striving for my dreams and it costs money.
Yeah.
And
believe it or not, I'm kind of in the same position as you. And let me give you some context. So I have two siblings. I have a brother and a sister. I'm the oldest of three.
yeah.
My brother is in a relationship, very serious relationship. They live together, and she has two children of her own that are not his, but he's doing the stepdad thing. My sister is a lesbian, so I don't know if she's going to procreate. I don't know if that's on her mind or anything like that. So the pressure is kind of like on me. Like I'm 38, about to be 39. Now I don't have a biological clock, but my mom does, and she wants to know when she's going to be a grandmother.
What do you tell her? What do you say?
I'm working on it, Mom. I'm working on it.
You're a good son.
I mean, listen, I'm at a point right now where honestly, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, well, then you know what? I'm totally fine with it. I'm not going to force the issue. I'm not going to force whatever it's destined to be. Like, if
you don't have like a passion to have a family and kids?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a passion to have family and kids?
I do. Like, I think, humbly speaking, I think that I would make an amazing husband and father one day. But I've also made peace with the fact that not from an age standpoint, but just from a societal standpoint, unfortunately, I feel like I got to a point now where if it happens, great. If it doesn't, well, then I've learned to realize that it probably just wasn't in the cards for me. And it took me a long time to be comfortable with that. And I still have time. It's still very much possible.
You're still young.
Yeah, but like I feel like, just like you, I feel like right now I'm doing things that I want for Jason for the first time ever. Like, instead of worrying about getting validation from what other people think or how I'm going to be perceived by others or this, that, and the third, I basically stopped thinking, what does my dad want from me? What does my mom want from me? What does my brother want from me? What do my friends want from me? What do my colleagues want from me?
Wants.
What the fuck does Jason want from me? For himself. That's where I'm at right now. And I'm still work in progress, but I feel much more optimistic than I have in such a long, long time. Yeah.
I try to think that way. I know that's the way I should think. And people tell me all the time, oh, it'll happen when it's supposed to. But I'm like, I feel like if it doesn't happen, then I want it to happen. Like it feels like it's what's supposed to happen and it's not happening. And I think that societal reasons and family reasons, because my sister, she's only like a year older than me. She has like 7 kids. I
thought you were the only child.
I was adopted.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You did say that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
My real mom raised 5 other kids.
Okay.
2 older than me and 3 younger than me. She raised them, and then I was given up for adoption. That's a whole nother story.
All right. Well, that just goes to show how much of a hack host I am, because I didn't listen to that the first time you said it. God damn it, Jason. Pay attention. Anyway.
Jesus!
Vietnam flashback from my dad. Anyway. So getting back into acting, though.
Yep.
So we know mutually some amazing people. Shout out to Letitia Buchanan. Shout out to Eddie LeBron. Shout out to Cristobal, a whole bunch of people.
Yes.
They are very much the nucleus as to why we are here today. You and I are here today.
Agreed.
So I don't know if we're contractually obligated not to speak about it. I guess.
No, I can speak a little bit about it.
So the title?
Betty?
No. For Love and Death.
Oh, Love and Hatred in Megawave City. The one that we worked on together.
Yes.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Love it. I love the realism. Oh.
See, I could do sounds too. Cue burp.
There you go. So we met on the set of that film, which should be out pretty soon. You guys have pretty much done them in post-production. Yep. I can't wait to see it.
It is done. We have submitted to a lot of film festivals. I don't know the exact number. I want to say, I think Eddie said 10 to 12 for Betty.
That's amazing.
And then like 8 for Megawave right now. So yeah, it's exciting.
That's amazing. Round of applause now. Round of applause.
Yeah. Gosh, man. Eddie and Letty, those two are just magic makers.
Yes.
I'm very lucky to have met them. I'm very lucky that they asked me to be a gaffer on their film, 21st Century Courtship.
Which is the film that I saw. That's how I got to know them. Because, little backstory. So I was with my friends Chris Abalo and Ugo Chuku. Love those
Ugo
guys.
and Chris.
Yeah, so they had their film, The Out. It
Yes.
was in a film festival at Smod Castle. Then we had
Smod Castle.
that's
Castle.
yeah.
That's cool.
So it was at that festival. That was also the festival that they had 21st Century Courtship.
Oh, okay.
And this is also how small the world is. So I'm watching that film, and one of my mutual friends, Rachel La Loca, shout out to Rachel.
Rachel La Loca,
yeah,
I love her.
As soon as I saw her on the screen, I was like, no way, I didn't know that she was in this fucking movie. This is
she's
awesome.
great in that.
Yeah. And listen, there was a lot of great films that premiered at that festival, but
Yeah.
I would say hands down, and no disrespect to Ugo and Chris, but 21st Century Courtship
It was so good.
It was my favorite film in that festival.
So
and
good.
as soon as it was over and the Q&A was over, I was like, I have to meet these people. I have to meet them. I have to know what they're about. I already dig their vibe. You know, you already have Letty with the cat ears and everything.
She loves her cat ears.
I just had to meet these people because that film was fantastic.
It was. It blew me away. And I worked on it.
Yeah.
And after I saw it, I was like, I did the lighting in that? I'm like,
Right.
that was so good.
And you know what's crazy is that when I saw that movie, it was I loved it, and then afterwards I saw it a second time when it was on YouTube, and then I'm looking at the credits, and I'm also looking at the actors that were in it. I'm like, I there's a lot of people that I met that worked on that film from the time that I first saw it to the time that I saw it again, and then I see your name in the credits. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I feel like I know everybody. That
was
in
the
this
first
film.
project.
Where the fuck was I? Why was I not involved in this? So, but anyway, but no, it was a fantastic film. I loved it, but
so good.
But as far as like Love and Hate in Megawave City,
Yeah.
So you have a very, very fascinating character. I mean, you could just see from the makeup and your wardrobe design and everything. What can you tell me a little bit more about? Because I read somewhat of the script. I only read what I had to for my part.
Yeah.
But I want to know a little bit more about your character. Like, give it some more depth on what she's about.
All right. Liliana. Oh, man. She is a reckon to force with. She is masculinity in a woman's body. Mm-hmm. And I actually really enjoyed the character. And it's funny because, can I give you a little backstory of when? Okay, so Eddie, the genius that is Eddie LeBron, writer, director, DP, editor, Emmy award winning. I mean, everything he touches, everything he does is flawless and successful. And same with Letty. I mean, they are just brilliance, and I wish more people would recognize them. But anyways, so Eddie pulled me aside and pitched to me this film that he got an idea for. And at first, he pitched that I would be the main lead character, Morgan. And after a while, I was like, you know what? I want to be the bad guy. I want to be the bad guy. You never see women be the bad guy. It's always the men are the bad guys. They're the tough ones. They're the abusive ones. Oh, we need to tell a different story, right?
Sure.
So they agreed. They loved it. And so they worked together and they rewrote it. I remember Letty telling me that they literally like yelled at each other back and forth like when they were writing it.
That's their process.
Yes,
and
Letty was like, I yelled at him and he was yelling at me and we were just writing things down, like the argument, like writing things down.
Listen, between Eddie and Letty, all they do, they have their banter and then they have tacos at the end of the night. That's how they do.
They do. It's a love-hate relationship. But they but yeah, my character turned out to be still masculine in the sense of the aggression and like almost like a toxic masculinity, like a control freak. Like she's very controlling. But we Eddie, who directed it, and I had decided that her story was that she comes from a place, a family, a father who was overprotective and training her to be that way, right? Taking her under his wing, and he
grooming you, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I enjoyed replicating all of the hate and the anger that I had experienced in my life. Mm-hmm. It felt like a release personally.
Yeah.
The character, I actually have been playing bad guys a lot lately since that character. I feel like I can portray it well now that I have been able to kind of initiate that part of my brain where I yell at people and I am authentically angry at them, even though I struggle with that in real life. I mean, over time, obviously. But yeah, my character, it was great. I enjoyed it.
No, listen, I was on set. Obviously, we're in the film together. We share a scene together. You obviously the star. I was just, I was there for whatever, diversity, if anything.
Diversity.
Anyway, so this is what fascinated about me about you in the beginning. So, and I'll share this. Hope you don't mind this. So, I love the fact that you are so indoctrinated in your skill and your art that it's almost like turning off a light switch. And what I mean by that is we're just on the set, we're doing what we need to do, they're setting up the camera and everything. Then out of nowhere, spontaneously, you just stick your ass out in the air and fart through your mouth just to kill time, just to be a goofball. Then it comes down to action. And you are a completely different person. Yeah. You let that hate and all that narcissistic energies overcome you based on what you experience, and you applied it to that character, and it works so well. It was so convincing. And then afterwards, they yell cut, and then you're back to your regular goofy self.
Yeah.
That to me, that let me know that there's so much depth and layers to Shoshanna that I want to know more about. And it has been a joy getting to know you as we've been talking leading up to this episode.
Thank you. And on that note, that I was using method acting for that because I didn't want it to consume me. Remember I did the music?
Yeah.
Remember?
Mm-hmm. I remember
I was
that.
using the angry Marilyn Manson music.
Yes,
I would play.
I do remember that.
To row up my anger and memories. That's something I learned in an acting school in New York. Lee Strasberg was method acting and using things,
the real deal right
touching
there.
things or seeing things or remembering things, using things, senses to entice or become a character. But I would do the farting and act silly because that is who I truly am. Mm-hmm. And I love to make people laugh. And I didn't want to lose myself in that energy of that anger because I don't know about you, but when I do get angry about something, it's very hard for me to come out of it. That's something I struggled with.
Yeah, I'm kind of simpatico with you on that. And one of the things that I think is a benefit to me, into my acting is I'm the worst at having a poker face. I wear my emotions on my sleeve to the T. Everybody knows if I'm pissed off, I'm pissed off. There's no way I can hide it. So I rather use that to my benefit in applying it to whatever role I get into.
Yeah.
And that's from a whole different array of emotions, not just anger.
And with your deep voice, I bet you're really scary.
What are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
Oh my God, imagine you have kids and you're like yelling at them.
Come here. I mean, I don't want to give him Vietnam flashbacks either.
We're not going to replicate your father.
No, absolutely not.
We're learning from that.
Yes, we're learning from that. No, but yeah, no, I just thought that was really cool to see. And mind you, I'm still a little bit of a newbie to this. Like me being on set with them and working with all these talented people it wasn't a sense of like, okay, I made it. I was like, wow, I didn't think that I would actually ever be in this position of actually being on a set. And I thought it was really cool and humbling. And now I'm more like, okay, what am I going to do to get back to that?
Yeah, see, that's the bug. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you got that.
Absolutely.
I could tell you were having fun too.
I mean, not only was I having fun because of the environment, but it also speaks to the level of the people that you're surrounded with. Like, if you have the right cast and crew with you, magic is bound to happen regardless.
100%.
Yeah.
And with Eddie and Letty, it's always magic.
Yes,
everything I've ever worked on them. I mean, we did that, and then after we did Megawave, it just went so smoothly. Mm-hmm. I mean, perfection. Everything from the budget. Letty killed it with the budget and the hiring to the writing and the production itself. Everything just went smoothly and worked out so well. I was like, we got to do another one. Mm-hmm. And then I met Dan Gregory at a film festival, and he was like, dude, we've been friends on Facebook for so long, and I've never met you. You're Shoshanna Withers. And I was like, Dad, Gregory, yeah. And he's like, we need to collaborate. And I was like, let's do it. And so we tried to figure something out. And then I wrote something in like a 2-page scene in my acting class. We do these writing workshops. I had written it for a kid out in LA, and he wasn't planning on at the time coming out anytime soon. So I had, I had the script, and I hit up Letty, and I was like, Letty, Letty said she wanted to direct. She said she loves writing. She was writing like crazy. And I was like, Letty, like, do you want to help me write a short film with this? And this guy, Dan, wants to play the lead actor and you can direct it. And she was like, absolutely. And we fucking sat there, and in 2 hours, we wrote Betty from this small little scene called the AI guy. And we turned it into Betty. She's such a good writer. She has great imagination. Like, her imagination is, we are on the same level. Like, we have the dirtiest mind. Eddie just isn't on our level with that. He wasn't on our level.
I think he's the perfect yin to the yang.
Yeah. But me and Letty, we have dirty minds. So and then that shoot went smoothly. I mean, we wrote and hired everyone and shot it in less than a month.
Right. And the thing with Betty, which is the next film that you worked on, I feel like, because the thing is that Letty, and I understand this, she's kept a lot of things about this film close to the chest.
Yes.
And there's so many questions that I have, but I know I'm not going to get any answers to it until I actually see it.
She will kill me.
Until I see it. Until I see the fucking
film. She's already
yelled
at me.
Right. So we're not going to do that. But basically, this is just a shameless plug that Betty is coming out. It's finished.
So
it's done.
good.
And you just mentioned it just got accepted into a festival in Atlanta.
Yeah. Renegade Film Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Renegade Film Festival. I'm super excited. Atlanta. I want to work there. Like, I want to go there more often. So
right, you were saying that the industry down there is really thriving as opposed to what's going on in California. Unfortunately,
especially with the Tyler Perry studios there. And by the way, New Jersey is going to be thriving very soon. They have a huge Netflix studio.
Is it right off of 14B on the Turnpike? Because there's a huge studio. I think it's called Cinescape.
No. This one's just starting to be built now.
Oh, okay.
It won't be done for 2 more years.
Oh, okay.
But they put it out there, and Netflix is, and then another one. I think another movie studio is going to be built after that one. But I think it's like Lionsgate or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot that's going to be happening here on the East Coast. So be prepared, be ready.
Yeah. I don't want to like count my chickens before they hatch or anything like that, but I feel like heading into this journey that I'm on right now and being in the right place at the right time, I'm very optimistic and looking forward to what the future may bring.
Yeah, I think you got a great career ahead of you.
You really think so?
I do. I definitely do.
I mean, I'll take that heavily into consideration, considering that you're official tissue in this game, as far as I'm concerned.
I think Letty would agree with me. I'm sure she has said that to you before.
No, but I think that I feel it. I feel it when she thinks it.
Yeah, I think they hired you because they see something in you.
I would hope so, because they don't strike me as people that they just do things just to do things.
Absolutely not.
So,
and also even with your podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like how authentic you are. People want that. People are looking for more of that in actors now. I mean, integrity, authenticity. People who can show emotion, talk about emotion.
I mean, I'm just being me as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I appreciate it nonetheless. It's things like that that's going to make me speechless, and that's not very helpful on a podcast. So.
It's like, what am I supposed to say?
Thanks.
Oh, you have a wrap it up sign.
Yeah, I'm fighting off the imposter syndrome. I'm fighting it off.
Oh, yes, please do.
Yeah. So before we put a cap on this episode, one more question that I have to ask for you is, so in my research about you and what you've done and so on and so forth, one of the things that kind of I wanted to touch on, and it's unfortunately kind of what I'm going through right now personally, where there was a moment in your life where it was you kind of had to lead a double life, meaning that aside from doing your acting and all your arts and everything, you had to do a regular 9 to 5. Like, you were in the corporate world, and you realized very quickly that it wasn't for you, and that was just another a sign, for lack of a better term, that you need to focus on what you need to do, because I'm kind of on the same boat where I'm in a crossroads right now, to be honest with you. I'm in a crossroads where I know what I'm passionate about and I know what I want to do, but there's other responsibilities that I have to take care of before I actually can achieve that. And I'm confident that I'm going to get over that hump, but I'm just in that moment at the moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I guess I want to just find out a little bit more about what your headspace was at when you were in that corporate environment, and then afterwards you said sayonara.
Well, I go through that a lot. So get ready for the ride, because unless you get a full-time job in a studio, or, is acting specifically what you want to do?
Yeah, specifically voice acting. And listen, I mentioned this before on a previous episode. So I knew that I wanted to act at the age of 9 when I saw Bruce Willis in Die Hard 3.
Yeah.
Now, at the time also, I was very camera shy and I wasn't very confident in myself, and I wanted to be behind the camera. So when I said that I wanted to be a director, I used that as an excuse of not wanting to be in front of the camera, because I didn't have that much confidence in me. Yeah. And now I feel like I've gotten over that hump where, would I like to direct in the future? Sure. But I don't think it's a priority anymore as much as acting is now. Good. I feel like that's what I really had to realize and find out within myself. So yes, the answer is yes. That's ultimately what I would love to do, because it'll be something that I'm passionate about doing, and it'll be example again for people that if they want to do something with their life, just go ahead and do it. Just look at me. If I could do it, anybody else can. Yeah. But it's also to, I'm not one of those people that like to prove the naysayers wrong, but I think it's more about proving myself right.
Yep.
If that makes any sense.
Well, it's the journey. It's not the end game, honestly, in this. I think that's my belief of life in general. But if you know what you want, like I know I want to have a family and have a baby, and I know I want to be a creator for the rest of my life. I want to create movies, and whether I'm doing camera, like we were just talking with your friend, if I'm doing camera or acting, I just know I want to live in this world and I want to make money, and that makes me happy. But on the note you were saying about the corporate, yes, in 2000, I want to say 13, I got a job as a Anheuser-Busch girl in Hoboken, New Jersey.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I was the Bud Light girl that would have to show up on Monday morning to the corporate office, fill out paperwork, go to these bars all over Hoboken, and set up these promotions, if you will. And it was very much a corporate job. I had to show up at this time, whatever. And I wasn't really making much money at all. And I was miserable. And I ended up quitting. And I had no plan. I had no job. And I just was like miserable. And I just knew that I would rather struggle and pursue my dream than to give up my dream just to have money. Right. So that was a learning curve for me. I've gotten to a good place in my life now. If I could give you advice where you're at now, I would say now where I'm at, I have tested things. I've tried different jobs, right? I've done everything from marketing to corporate liquor companies to office jobs, answering phones. I've been a bartender, a server. I've done as much as I could, and I have somehow found a balance of where I can do what I love, make money at it, and still survive. So bartending has been what I've been doing for about 15 years, and I have 2 or 3 jobs that are freelance. So I make my schedule weekly. I tell them when I can work every week, and then when I'm not working, I'm working on a project. And then if a project I know is coming up in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I email them and I say, hey, I'm going out of town to film this movie, and that's it. And it's hard to find a place that'll do that, but I have found that, and I have found a good, center of where I can still work and make money to pay my bills, but also still pay for my art and make money at it too. So just keep striving, find out where you can do that. I think the podcast, you're going somewhere with this. You know what I mean? Even if there's no money to be made specifically on this one yet, like you're great at what you do. You can do something in this world to make money. You can offer your services in some way to make money. If you're really passionate about it, just put it out there in the universe and it will come to you. I promise you.
I'm putting it out there.
Yeah.
I certainly am putting it out there.
And don't give up. Don't like, if it's not coming as fast as you want it to, then figure it out. Put yourself out there. Talk to people. What you're doing now. Tell people, I lost my job. You got something for me? It could be part-time, Yeah. So you can still do what you love and pursue what you love.
I feel like the universe has allowed what happened to me today on purpose in order to help me to get to where I need to be. Because I unfortunately am one of those hard-headed individuals where I have to be hit over the head with a brick in order for me to have common sense.
Instinctually, I mean, we don't know each other super, super well. We've spoken here and there, and we worked on the project together. But instinctually, as soon as you told me that, when I walked in, I felt happiness.
Really?
Yes. And for me, instinctually, that means this is something for you personally. I mean, I'm a pretty intuitive person. I feel like this is something that you're going to, in a month from now, tell me you won't believe this, but I'm working on this project or something bigger and better. I was able to take that because I lost this job. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, one thing I'm looking forward to is an upcoming project we got, but that'll be something to talk about later down the line.
I would love to hear about it.
Hey, you're the one that presented it to me. So anyway, all right. But ladies and gentlemen, that's about all the time that we have so far. But before we go, I just have one final segment. Now, if anybody has never seen the show before, this is a segment called This or That. What happens, I will ask my guest, Shoshanna Withers, here multiple choice questions. You can get with this, you can get with that. Just no right or wrong answer. And it's just an opportunity for people to get to know a little bit more about you.
And what do I do?
All you have to, I just ask you multiple choice questions and then you choose which one you like best.
Shit.
It's pretty simple.
You're horrible. You're a bad person.
Are you ready, Najee? Yeah, he's ready. Are you ready, Miss Withers?
All right. Oh, God, let's do this.
All right.
Lord, help me. I'm ready.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go for This or That. You, Miss Shoshanna. Playlist or podcast?
Playlist.
Slides or Crocs?
Oh, slides. Ew.
Beach or pool?
Oh, beach.
Dogs or cats?
Oh, no. I have to choose one?
I mean, you can go with both if you want. There's no right or wrong answer. Okay. No, there's no right or wrong answer.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Oh, I'm actually an early bird.
Okay. It's way past your bedtime.
Yeah, I know.
Instagram or TikTok?
Oh, shit. Well, they took my TikTok away, so it's Instagram now.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
To give or to receive?
Oh, give.
Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Extrovert.
Batman or Superman?
Ooh, Iron Man.
That was the next one, actually.
Okay. Wait, you dinged it. Batman or Superman? Batman.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask Iron Man or Captain America, but you already answered
Iron Man. He's my favorite.
Are you glass half empty or glass half full?
Glass half full.
Would you rather be embarrassed or be afraid?
Not a lot can scare me anymore. I've been through so much. Be embarrassed.
Okay. Would you rather be too hot or be too cold?
Be too hot.
All right. Do you prefer the window seat or the aisle seat?
Window. Always.
Are you book smart or street smart?
I'm street smart.
Do you prefer reading or writing?
Reading.
Cardio or weights?
Weights.
Dancing or karaoke?
Oh. Shit. Karaoke.
Drama or comedy?
Oh, I mean, I enjoy comedy. Yeah.
Do you prefer ice water or room temperature?
No, room temperature. Ice water hurt.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Martin Scorsese or Quentin Tarantino?
Quentin Tarantino. That's actually my favorite.
Yeah. James Cameron or Steven Spielberg?
Steven Spielberg.
And then finally, teamwork or solo project?
Teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this episode of This or That. That is going to do it for this episode of First Class, Second Place. Thank you so much to my lovely guest, Shoshanna Withers, for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
Au revoir, Shoshanna.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason. Can we get a hand clap for him? Yes!
Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to really quick before we close out?
A shout out? Oh, God. Well, definitely Eddie and Letty.
Yes. Love Your Face Films.
Yes. Love Your Face Films. Definitely shout out to them. And also a shout out to my mom, which is ironic. And a shout out to nobody. Myself. I shout myself out.
All right. I love that. Nobody's done that before. So, yeah. Love yourself, girl. Love yourself. Love your face. All right. Where can they find you on social media real quick?
Oh, yes. Instagram. You can find me at Shoshanna_Withers. They took my TikTok away, but it was Shoshanna NY, all one word. And Facebook, Shoshanna Withers. Yeah,
right.
I think that's it.
IMDb, you have IMDb.
Oh, yeah, IMDb. Yep, Shoshanna Withers. You can find all my projects I'm working on. Instagram is probably the most updated. I have tons of projects I recently shot that are on there right now.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Shoshana, once again, thank you so much for coming through here. Really appreciate
you.
I appreciate you as well.
This is awesome.
We should do it again soon.
Yes.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, you can find me at I'm Jason Enrique on all social media platforms. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube at Jason Enrique. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next week. This has been the First Class, Second Place podcast. We out.